horror, anguish, and terror.
No longer your father. My blood is no longer your blood. The spirits of evil have rendered that tie between us forever, and an accursed poison flows in your veins.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
It's that time again, boys and girls, when the dusk settles slowly over the orange glow of the October skyline, when the barrier between worlds weakens and pumpkins decorate windowsills and front doorsteps, lighting the way for witches to glide through the night. Hallows Eve and time for another Halloween video, this time on a sinister and spooky video game. Well, kinda. It's a little bit silly, but nevertheless absolutely terrifying. So grab your Halloween mask, light the pumpkins, grab your bag of goodies, and sit down in preparation for a night of spooks and scares that will haunt your nightmares forevermore. Call of Cthulhu Shadow of the Comet is a point-and-click adventure game developed by Infogrames in 1993. Infogrames. Infogram? Infogrims? Infogram. Damn the French.
Bruno Bonnel, vous êtes président du groupe Infogrames Participation. Infogrames nous connaissons, mais qu'est-ce que Infogrames Participation ?
Infogrames Participation est tout simplement la holding du groupe Infogrames.
We will show those stupid Americans who look like the frog, eh?
They're a great company who helped publish a ton of great games such as Civilization 3, Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 and 2, and Neverwinter Nights. They also developed the original Alone in the Dark, which Shadow of the Comet shares a lot of elements with. One of the first videos on this channel, in fact. Shadow of the Comet is rarely brought up when discussing H.P Lovecraft inspired video games, and I'm not sure why, because it has a lot of really great elements to it. We play as John Parker, a British photographer who travels to the New England town of Illsmouth, yep, Illsmouth, not Innsmouth, to photograph the passage of Halley's Comet and later untangle a terrible conspiracy within the town. Woo. The plot is basically a mashup of Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror, The Shadow over Innsmouth and The Call of Cthulhu. But let's jump right into it.
My God! Help me!
That blinking. You got sand in your eyes, mate.
The book spoke the truth. Ah! Hold tight, Crawford. They're coming. I can smell them.
You were right, Doctor. It's hopeless.
It's like we're watching an old kung fu movie.
He is well protected. It's impossible. You'll never make it. Never make it. Ever make it. Never make it. Never make it. You'll never make it. Ever. Don't you see you can make it?
I implore you to reconsider.
I think he would have liked to see his works donated to the British Museum.
Us Brits never waste a good opportunity to steal someone else's art.
Mr. Parker, your Comet story has a great deal of promise. Tell me, 76 years after the Boleskine business, you really think...
He stumbled over something extraordinary at Illsmouth. His writings and sketches are proof of it.
Yes, but he came home a raving lunatic. I don't want to go on any wild goose chases.
I'll go to Illsmouth. I'll find the exact place where Boleskine made his sketches. I'll take photographs. I'll be there with 3 nights to spare before Halley's Comet passes. I've already arranged to stay with a local doctor, a fella called Cobble.
Look at this handsome guy, definitely the better looking guy between him and Edward Carnby.
I want hard evidence of everything you say. I cannot afford to print crackpot ideas.
And that's it, we have our job. It's a very good looking game for 1993, and they strike a decently realistic look with a limited pixel range. The backgrounds are lovely, as are the character portraits. I think it's fair to say it rivals The Secret of Monkey Island. As was the standard, you can choose to talk to someone, use an item, get an item, or look at an item. Although this is arguably a point and click game, it originally released without mouse control. I know, what? Which was later added in the CD version. What's great is this addition of a diary which tracks your progress and gives you slight hints on what to do next, allowing you to come back to the game and carry on where you left off. Why didn't every adventure game have this?
Just arrived in charming fishing port of Illsmouth. Warm welcome from Dr. Cobble, with whom I'm lodging, and A. Arlington, the mayor.
There's also this useful map which shows you exactly where you are in the town. We're introduced to the mayor and Vincent Price? Well, Dr. Cobble. That's a funny likeness though.
Dr. Cobble? Delighted to make your acquaintance.
Allow me to introduce you to Andrew Arlington, the mayor of our little community.
Very happy to meet you.
Thank you, sir. I'm very glad to meet you.
The game also goes to a great effort to make itself cinematic. Rather than just appearing at our residence at Cobble's house, we take a scenic horse and carriage trip through the town.
Dr. Cobble tells me you're interested in stars?
Indeed. And Illsmouth appears to be a marvelous place from which to observe the sky at night.
Oh, is that so?
If it's a clear night, we shall see the comet soaring through the sky.
You sure know how to project your enthusiasm, Mr. Parker.
Well, here you are, all set to get to work. I'll show you to your room. I'll have to leave you, my customers.
Won't wait. Just like the worthy citizens of my little town. Have a wonderful visit, Mr. Parker.
Another great addition is this line of sight mechanic that shows you where there's an item to interact with. Thank God, this is such a time saver. There's also icons showing you where you can walk when the directions to travel aren't immediately obvious, such as they would be with an open doorway. Again, it does a lot of things right. Let's read Boleskine's old diary.
Tuesday, February 12th. I at last found a young villager willing to guide me through the forest for payment. Wednesday, February 13th. Good God, what a sight to see! The stars seemed a rifle shot away. This place must be a window to some other dimension. This evening I will take my material. Thursday, February 14th. This child of 12 is remarkable. A great deal brighter and livelier than the village children, who seem a sorry lot. He held the torches while I drew new constellations upon the map, undoubtedly inaccurate, given the position of the river. I have named them Octopus, Stalker. They are quite frightening. I have noted the place. I'll be there when Halley's Comet passes, and then... If the child was 12 years of age in 1834, he's 88 today. There's a chance he's still alive. The town records will have the information.
Mysterious. The telegram we received also tells us that we need some photosensitive plates for our camera.
From Sales and Brothers, London, to Mr. Parker in Dr. Cobble Estate. Apologies. Stop. Have no more photosensitive plates. Stop. Try to purchase some your end. Stop.
Let's stop over at the town hall.
Good Lord, a page of Boleskine's writing. Wednesday, February 13th. Good God, what a sight. The stars were no more than a pistol shot away. That's curious. The word pistol has been crossed out and replaced by rifle. And a handwritten note. Truth sleeps beneath appearance. J. Keats. Interesting.
Rifle, that's a clue. What's this guy up to?
There you are at last, Mr. Parker. I've been expecting you. Oh, don't be surprised.
Hey mate, are your eyes alright? What do you see through those things?
Yo, this nigga Terrio at Popeye. Say ooh. Say ooh.
Allow me to introduce myself. Tobias Jug, keeper of the archives and records, at your service.
There's probably nothing I can tell you that you don't already know.
You're wrong, Mr. Parker. I may know your name and profession, but not the reason for your visit.
I'd like to consult the birth register.
So your interests are not limited to the stars. I hope I may be able to quench part of your thirst for knowledge. But remember, there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio. They're not dreamt of in your philosophy.
We get the names of the 3 people born in 1822 who may have met Boleskine.
Fortunately, there weren't too many births in 1822. According to the register, there are 3 still alive today. Curtis Hamilton, William Coldstone, Thomas Greenwood.
There's a magnifying glass to take here. We go to the general store to buy some camera plates and see a creepy guy in a cloak. Well, we may as well rugby tackle this guy now and get it over with.
I'd like some photosensitive plates, please.
Well, just hold on a few seconds while I check to see if I have any. You're a lucky man! Well, they do say if anybody sells it, Meyer does. Got 2 boxes left. There's one. It's $10 for 3 plates.
There's a sprawling forest outside the town that loops forever if you continue walking in one direction. It gives a good sense of enormity without having to make 100 unique screens or introduce a contrived blockade. And in every point and click you know to pick up every single useless item you see because it'll be of some use later on. So we collect 3 branches and a creeper. The townspeople will semi-randomly walk around the town as well as appear in scripted sequences, which again gives the sense that events are unfolding in real time over the span of 3 days. Eventually we find Curtis Hamilton, who was alive when Boleskine arrived on the island.
Mr. Hamilton? Curtis Hamilton? 76 years ago, a British scientist, Lord Boleskine.
Don't mention that name to me. Bad luck and trouble. I led him around for 3 nights. I carried the torch, the rifle, and I saw the thing.
What thing?
I wish I didn't remember. He'd drawn a map. I took him to the cross. I don't mind telling you, I was scared. Later on, I refused to go with my father to pray to the stones. So my father threw me out. My brother Wilbur cursed me, and now I live in squalid conditions.
Where did you take Boleskine?
Get away from this region, mister. The Comet's coming back. It'll be here in 3 nights, and that thing's coming too. Wilbur said so just get away from Illsmouth while you've got time.
Very odd indeed.
Why would you need a picture of the comet for the newspaper? The people in this town are way more interesting. Vincent Price lives here, and this guy has webbed hands. Very odd indeed.
Very odd indeed.
Well, anyway, I found a rope ladder on the floor earlier and took it, which I'm pretty sure is just petty theft. There's a beautifully rendered decrepit building here. It looks absolutely ominous, but again, I wonder where the suspicious activity is taking place.
It's a shame that it's gone to rack and ruin. The house had a touch of class.
Hamilton didn't give us much to go on, but we know that we need to get back into the forest.
I have found Boleskine's guide. He refuses to help me. My information points to a calvary deep in the forest. I must learn its precise position on my map.
I knock on a few doors to no avail, until eventually I stumble onto... what the fuck?
Go on, find somewhere else to mess up.
Is that a dancing bear or just a guy in a suit?
What is it? What's wrong, sister?
Say, Mr. Parker, Mr. Arlington, the mayor, told me about you.
Welcome to Illsmouth. I'm Sergeant Baggs from the local police.
I'm looking for a cavalry in the forest.
I can't help you there, and I don't advise you to wander in the forest by yourself. It's easy to get lost in that forest. I wouldn't even go there with a map. Now, if you'll excuse me, duty calls. I've got to run those layabouts out of town towards the clearing in the woods.
There's a band of Roman gypsies. Obviously this police officer is supposed to be prejudiced, but I think he's justified not wanting a wild grizzly bear in the middle of his town. And hey, isn't that Esmeralda?
They're gypsies, Mr. Parker. Sneakiest chicken thieves you ever saw. I'm not going to wait for them to strip the town bare, no sir.
And some, I assume, are good people.
Surely they have some rights.
I decide who has rights around here, Mr. Parker. You stick to your science. I won't trouble you again.
But come now.
Thank you, sir.
Destroy Esmeralda and let her taste the fires of hell.
If you come back later, you find a young woman sitting with her aunt on a bench. Every time you try to speak to the young woman, her aunt chastises her for not being chaste enough.
Good day to you, ladies.
Good day, mister.
When will you learn, my girl? When men are around, you have to be especially careful. They are not to be trusted.
Her dress and hair certainly remind me of something.
Yes, I know, Aunt, I know.
Listen to the joy in her voice. Quite funny to think an apocalyptic Cthulhu catastrophe is brewing up around them. This may be her last few days to go wild. We go back to Jug's house and check out the butt of the rifle hanging on his hallway with the magnifying glass.
There, on the butt. LB. Incredible. Jug has Boleskine's rifle. Oh, there's a message engraved in the gun. Dash it all. It's too small to read. If only I had a magnifying glass. It's badly written. Ah. Searcher. E-S-T... The rest has been rubbed away. Searcher. Suzanne Searcher, probably. Strange. Those names are not mentioned in Boleskine's notebooks.
I love the design of this house with the stuffed bear darkened as if it's jutting into the foreground. I think I know where its brother is. We go back home and pick up some cotton and surgical spirit. Inside the trunk there's a drawing and a map. I don't know why we weren't able to look in this trunk before. This point and click does a relatively good job of not being annoying, at least compared to its contemporaries, but there's a few sprinklings of utter nonsense.
There must be a clue in this drawing, but what is it?
We add the surgical spirit and the cotton to the drawing and the clue is revealed.
I was sure of it. The clue is not in the picture, but beneath it. Northeast beast, 4x2 stars. That's where the cross...
Now we just need to mark that location on our map and we have the spot of the cavalry in the forest. Hopefully we can find a guide. Maybe the shopkeeper knows.
By the way, how well do you know the forest?
Not really. Why?
I need a guide for tonight. Do you know Wilbur Hamilton?
Just between you and me, he doesn't have a very good reputation, if you know what I mean. His two sons are no better. Obed and Benjamin. Well, I hope you're lucky enough never to meet any of them. Come to think of it, you already know Wilbur. The man with the hood in the general store this morning.
Yes, I remember.
That's business. You don't pick your customers. You take care now, Mr. Parker.
Goodbye, Mr. Meyer.
Vincent Price seems to have a clue.
I wouldn't dream of imposing on you, Doctor, but I have no idea whom to ask.
Go in here and see Nathan Tyler, the lighthouse keeper. People speak well of him, but take care all the same.
The music in the bar is actually really calming.
Is that Nathan Tyler?
No, that's Thomas Bishop, a fisherman. Lives in the house in the harbor. First one you see when you arrive.
Is there something I can tell you?
Wait a minute, that's H.P Lovecraft, isn't it?
No. Or rather, yes. I'm looking for Nathan Tyler.
He'll soon be here. It's none of my business, but, you want to be careful of him.
Yes, I know. I've been warned about him. His prices.
No, not that. He's a strange... It's him.
You want to do some hunting, maybe? Get yourself a plump hare or a duck?
Oh god, no, we stumbled onto Jack Nicholson drinking in a bar.
A little slow tonight, isn't it?
I'll take you there for nothing. Well, let's make it $5 for my expenses. We'll stop by at my place for something to eat. Then we'll get ready and go. Okay?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be going through a creepy forest at night with Jack Torrance anytime soon.
I'll think it over.
Go on, Benjamin.
Oh my god, the speed of those punches. Block, dude, block. Someone jump in, throw the towel.
Outburst! Stop the time! The referee tries to step in and he's strolling across the ring. Throw the towel! Throw the towel!
His nose, you've shattered all his ribs. Listen to those sound effects, it's like Street Fighter out there.
You win. Perfect.
Obed, Ben, stop that. Leave Webster alone.
You'll be sorry, won't he, Ben?
Thank you, sir.
After the beating you just took, there's not a scratch on you.
Very odd indeed. I'm taking you to the drugstore.
We take Webster to the pharmacy to get bandaged up, and the pharmacist, Jonathan Matthews, tells us that we can use his photography room to develop our plates, which he just happens to have. Then his daughter gives us this look, which I'm not quite sure I understand. She's either flirting with us or possessed by Dagon.
Very odd indeed.
Thankfully, Webster agrees to guide us in the forest. Better him than Jack Nicholson. We grab our photography equipment from our room and we're off.
The bush! There! That bush! It moved, didn't you see it? There's somebody spying on us for sure.
Calm down.
Listen, the cross is on the other side. I have to go home now.
I love how nonchalant Parker is about everything. That monotone voice, absolutely nothing phases him. We find the cavalry in the forest, e.g. a stone cross, and set up a makeshift tripod from branches and a creeper. Webster ran off so quickly that he forgot to give us back our tripod. I'm sure those photos will turn out lovely and not ominous at all. Hey, is that bad voice acting I hear?
Fungui, Milwanaf, Cthulhu Raila, Wanglia Nale Fatang. Behold! Look up there! We are being observed.
The hell, he can teleport?
Parker! You have signed your own death warrant. I, Narackamous, tell you that in 2 nights, Cthulhu will reign once more.
Quick, Parker, run. He's chasing you at a brisk pace.
Fungui, Milwanaf, Cthulhu Raila, Wanglia Nale Fatang. Bruh. You're exhausted, been overdoing it. Blood pressure a little high, too. You'll need a good, long rest.
Out of the question, Doctor.
You're running the risk of a heart attack, so no excitement, you understand? Take this prescription along to Matthews right away. They're pills for your heart. Careful now. At the slightest twinge of pain in your left side, swallow one, and fast. You got that?
I hear and obey, Doctor. Doctor, there's something I must tell you. I was chased by an Indian.
Apart from Netawanga, who hides out in the forest, I don't see who it could be. There was a certain Narackamous, I seem to recall, but he must be well and truly dead by now. If you meet him, Ask him for the recipe for his elixir of eternal youth.
And with all that, we're back and raring to go. Except now we have a heart condition that could lead us to having a full-blown heart attack at any point.
Oh my god! That's my dad! Dad! Slow down, your heart! Your heart! Don't stop me, son, I'm having the time, boy! Ah! Gotta somebody stop my dad from dancing, he's got a heart! I think he's got something wrong with his heart! Get off us! Leave us!
Very odd indeed.
It's now day 2. We pop back over to the pharmacist and collect Parker's heart medication. We solve a puzzle that involves mixing chemicals which allows us to develop our camera plates in the dark room. Right, let's take a look at these. That one's pretty. Oh, this one is good.
These scary skeletons speak with such a screech. You'll shake and shudder in surprise when you hear these zombies shriek.
How horrific! Ah! My heart!
Nah, I'm joking, it's this.
How horrific! Ah! My heart! Thank you very much. Without you,
You see, that's a lot better already. Don't push your luck.
The pharmacist helps us but still has the cheek to ask for his $10. Strangely enough, this whole heart medication plot never seems to come up again after this. I guess Parker just gets over it. We walk around and see Wilbur looking mysterious, so we follow him to the general store. He places a key on the desk, which we steal before the shopkeeper has the chance to notice. The key opens the door to Jug's house from earlier, and there's blood on the ground. We collect 3 statues, one of a baby, a young man, and an old man. We go to the back room and find a small key under the floor mat. We place the statues in the spot of 3 different books. Youth, The Old Man and the Sea, and The Invisible Man. You get it? This reveals a hidden doorway and dun dun dun.
So, you kept your promise.
Who did this?
I didn't see. What does it matter now? Quick, give me the parchment. They came to find it. Great heavens! It's as I thought. It means, in his dwelling place of dead Relia, Cthulhu dreams and waits. Do those words ring any bells?
I've come across the name Cthulhu in old manuscripts concerning primitive religions. Nothing more.
Mr. Parker, man has not always been the master of this world. Many ages ago there was a race of gods, the great old ones.
But how can you believe such...
I have little time. Rightly or wrongly, many believe that by using certain incantations, these loathsome creatures can be brought back to reign over us once more.
What are these gods? Where are they?
They are at once far away and very near. Their names are Dagon, Yog-Sothoth, Nyarlathotep, Cthulhu. There are many others. The passing of Halley's Comet coincides with a favorable astral conjuncture. They will return. Parker, you must stop them. You must. Do you hear me? In 2 nights from now, in the center of a stone circle, the guardian of the portal will materialize. It must not be allowed to happen. You will find here a book called the Necronomicon. Within its cursed pages, you will find the formula you need. Be warned, Parker. The book drives men to madness. Do not take it from here. My desk. The message. That man will help you. Narackamous, the sorcerer, even dead, he wields ghastly power.
Dead?
Remember? More things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your
I won't forget, Tobias Jug.
The key opens the Necronomicon.
The ancients were, the ancients are, the ancients will be. Yog-Sothoth knows the portal. Yog-Sothoth is the portal. Yog-Sothoth is the guardian and the key to the portal. To summon him, stand inside the circle at the appointed hour. Yagnai, Thafik, Nagha, Yog Sothoth. 3 times he must be summoned, and there will be light. The portal will shut.
Ah, it's a load of nonsense. Old gods, Cthulhu, Yog-Sothoth, fake news. We read the note back at home and it gives us a clue.
The man who can help you lives where the 3 colors float. From there, 100 messages leave. He's recently been looking for the Forgotten Cemetery, which is on the map everybody can see. Now, where have I seen a map of the region? And what are these 3 colors and 100 messages?
Down at the post office we find a man who can help us, a Mr. Underhouse.
Mr. Underhouse is very keen. He's been looking for that cemetery for months.
I beg your pardon?
The cemetery of some Indian tribe, the Muckamucks or something. Well, he found it, and my, is he happy.
As for savagery, I think the Indians might have learned a thing or two from the 7th Cavalry.
Mr. Parker, my father often said, the only good Indian's a dead one. And he knew what he was talking about.
And some, I assume, are good people.
Thank you for defending the Indians, Mr. Parker.
It's nice to see that everyone in this town isn't a bigot.
Have you heard of Narackamous?
Indeed. He was the last of a particular branch of the Micmac tribe, a branch known as they who worship the Night Howler. By Night Howler they meant Nyarlathotep.
Do you know this place here?
That's the Stone Circle, the location of the Micmac burial ground. And you say you know nothing of Indian culture? Did you know that those who worship Nyarlathotep are rewarded with a very particular gift? Immortality.
Do you think that...
There are names it is wise never to pronounce, and people it is wise never to meet.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Are you talking about the Hamilton family?
An ancient curse hangs over Illsmouth. Some of the townspeople practice strange rituals in the worship of foul and age-old gods. I wanted to know more, and my curiosity cost me my legs. Dear God, there is no time to lose. Andrew Arlington isn't here. The diary containing the origin of the curse is locked inside his office safe. I can give you some information. I know the combination to the safe is made up of a number of digits.
You don't happen to know what they are?
When I discovered it, just before my accident, the digits had something to do with the Bible. You can thank me by bringing me a photo of the Stone Circle.
That's a promise.
Now that we have more information, we can continue with our mission. We need to get into the mayor's safe, but first we need a Bible. We buy a locket and a brooch from the shopkeeper and use it to bribe the aunt from earlier. She gives us the Bible in return. We finesse our way into the mayor's office and use the code on the safe. Inside we discover a cigar case with a piece of paper inside.
Why don't I unscrew this case? What's this inside? A piece of paper. A parcel to collect at the post office. It's addressed to W. Hamilton.
And a diary full of exposition.
My name's Jonas. Jonas Hamilton. In 1829, I made my fortune. The hard way. At sea. Even the big Boston businessmen were jealous of my fishery. At that time, I became interested in the occult. I read only the most accursed books. And then, I met Narackamous. He initiated me into the ancient practices. At last, I was in contact with those from the outside. Each day, my knowledge grew deeper. My body regenerated. My hands were at last palmed. But the ancients wanted more. Much more. I gave in. My own wife, Lavina, was the bargain, you see. I screamed out the invocations, and he came. The sea would take all I cherished, but that was of no importance. The pitiless god Dagon wanted that union. That was the price of my immortality. Two sons were born of that wondrous night. Wilbur and Curtis. The second of them betrayed and abandoned me, but the first followed in my footsteps. He has my gift. He can beg to the stones. They all think I'm dead. Only he who reaches that place where water, earth, and sky come together can find my burial place. Our work was destroyed in 1834, all because of that accursed Boleskine. But gods are immortal, and time means nothing to me. Nobody can destroy the families without the statuettes which I guard, and the secret incantation. In 1910, the comet will come again, and the prophecy will come true. Cthulhu! The great ancients will reign. I will swim beside my Lavina in the abyss, and we shall sing the praises of he who cannot be named.
It's a brilliantly cinematic and foreboding scene for a point-and-click game from 1993. The glow of the lamp illuminating the diary with the events unfolding on the picture frame behind Parker is absolutely amazing. However, I'd like to point out that this man had sex with that.
And he came. Cthulhu!
Very odd indeed.
We go back to the post office and get the parcel from Mr. Hamilton.
So, you're on an errand for Mr. Hamilton. That'll be $3, please. That must be a frock. Mr. Hamilton always orders them from Boston.
Thank you. Good day.
We change into the suspicious cultist frock and use it to get to the lighthouse guarded by 2 thugs. We use the rope ladder we stole earlier to climb up and we're in. Then the most nonsensical part in this entire game occurs. Yes, more so than the bear. A sundial at the top of the lighthouse reveals a pair of wings. Wings. Life-size wings. We take a candle out the nearby light and use the magnifying glass to set it aflame. We use the wax from the candle to strengthen the wings and escape from the thugs by jumping off the top of the lighthouse like Batman.
Now, let's just hope this thing works. Otherwise...
How does this make any sense? We land in the forest unscathed where the gypsies have moved to.
Have no fear, Mr. Parker. You are safe now.
Didn't this game just tell us this guy has a severe heart problem and the slightest overactivity could cause him to have a heart attack? Why were there a pair of human-sized wings in the lighthouse? How does wax hold the weight of an adult man? Why did we go to the lighthouse if there was nothing in there to see or do? Again, there was nothing in that lighthouse. We went through all of that just to get to the top, find absolutely nothing and then glide away. I at least expected to find some kind of godly, mind-destroying entity in the light.
Very odd indeed.
Esmeralda turns out to be a fortune teller because of course she is, and we get introduced to another admittedly very skillfully done and menacing cutscene, except for the voice acting. I don't know why Sean Connery is narrating it.
You know me. My name is Lord Alistair Boleskine. You have followed in my footsteps. Now you must destroy the curse of Cthulhu. Long ago, when Illsmouth had no name, a temple stood beside the shore. A sorcerer perpetrated barbarous sacrifices in the name of the great ancients. The walls amplified the chants of the blood-crazed adepts. The great ancients took pleasure in our suffering. They have not forgotten the splendor they once knew. If you do not act in 2 nights, when the comet passes, then the world will once more be enslaved to these loathsome gods. They must not be permitted to return. What I did 76 years ago, you must do. I will help you. But first, You must fight the men who give themselves over to these abominable rites. You must fight alone. One day, the ancient city toppled to the bottom of the ocean. Only thoughtless fools imagine the curse has been lifted for eternity. That accursed city, only a stone circle remains. There the surviving members of the cult meet for their hideous rituals. The great ancients impatiently await the day when they will reconquer their lost kingdom. And in his city of dead Relia, Cthulhu dreams and waits. None may gaze upon the face of the gods and hope to keep his sanity. Now you must go to where Jonas rests for all eternity.
I mean, that was great and the artwork was superb. I do wish the game took itself that seriously all the time though. The atmosphere is dulled somewhat by having arrived here via Wizard of Oz flying monkey wings. We trek back through the forest at night. The nightlife sounds a bit tropical for a boreal forest in North America, but it sets the atmosphere well for something terrible that's about to happen. Look at the glow of that creepy house, now we're talking. The town has heard news of Jug's death, which we play ignorant to. Good thing we managed to dodge the police earlier. Again, all this gives a sense that time is passing in the town in real time.
Could you lend me the cemetery key? I would like a few moments there to collect my thoughts.
Sure. Take it.
We're off to the cemetery and we're introduced to my favourite area in the game. The creepy black clouds drawing in, the purple dismal tone of the cemetery with the lone flickering orange light in the cabin. There's even a black cat running around in the background. It's the most beautiful part of the entire game in my opinion. We pick up a rope and a metal bar and then enter the mausoleum. We're greeted to some beautiful gothic architecture. I don't know what this gargoyle devil thing is doing though. Some kind of jazz hands hype dance.
And left, and right. Now Latin style. Snap, 4 times. Here comes your jazz hands. Left, right, clap first.
We used the metal bar to break the railings and... I guess that's what the rope is for. How was I supposed to know there was a gigantic hole there? I thought it was a door. We're now inside the creepy, dank cave system and the game introduces us to some more gameplay mechanics. There's spikes to avoid, pits in the middle of the ground which can suck you in, random fucking holes in the ground which are really annoying, as well as the standard bats, rats and spiders.
Were the enemies in this game designed by some kindergarten kid for Halloween? I'm surprised they don't have skeletons too.
There's quite a few puzzles here, picking up skulls to put on pedestals and unlock doorways, swapping the position of statues and these floor button puzzles which are thankfully fairly straightforward to solve. I was actually really enjoying this area until I got stuck in a room with rats that bugged out and blocked the entranceway. That rat would not move no matter how many times I reloaded the game.
I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get ourselves into.
In the end, I had to go back to a much earlier stage and make my way all the way back to this area again. So annoying. Then I discovered I could have actually looped around by going up the top door, which is even more annoying. I don't know whether it was my DOS speed settings which I was messing around with, the game being played on modern computers, or just the game itself. I think it's more likely to be the game itself, however, because I did everything possible to emulate it on what would have been its optimal hardware at the time period. Anyway, we make our way further in and find another puzzle. Do you have any ideas?
3 times. Around the earth. The sun will turn.
We have to walk around this circular pillar 3 times. As I said earlier, I do like how the majority of this game's puzzles, in parentheses, are actually solvable with a human brain. If you've seen my Harvester video, then you'll know how rare that was in the 90s with absolutely nonsensical puzzle elements. Finally, we find the source of all this evil.
Hey, You will die, Parker! You cannot win! You dare trouble my sleep? And for that you must pay the price!
That's how I feel when I'm woken up in the morning as well.
Listen carefully, Jonas. Your sleep will soon be eternal. Do you hear me?
Your blood will be mine! Yay!
It's all over for you, Jonas. I'm going to destroy you and your filthy kind.
Parker is completely unfazed by anything. So we steal all his favourite statues just to annoy him and speed out of there. Oh god, what is that? Why is it dripping? I hope I remember the route we took to get here. I didn't bother to think about it. God damn it.
Poor Parker.
Eventually we find our way back.
Thank heavens you are safe.
Thank you for saving my life.
He's exhausted. Walter, help me. We'll take him to the house. Walter, hand over the tripod you took from Mr. Parker and leave us, please.
Horrible events are taking place in Illsmouth. If I don't put a stop to them very soon, then even more ghastly things will happen. How lucky I was that you were there.
My husband John, God rest his soul, told me of dreadful things before he passed on. We were newlyweds when Jonas died. John went to the Hamilton house for the wake.
Do they still live there?
No. After the fishery went bust and Jonas died, they moved closer to the harbor. Jonas's body was laid out on the top floor of the house. At that time, there was a window in the wall. John looked through, and what he saw was a desert with giant stones and strange creatures.
My God!
John was frightened. He lowered his eyes. On the ground was the sign. Wilbur, who was standing over his father's body, seemed ill at ease. He covered over the sign with a sheet. Well, do you know? The sign shone through the sheet. After that, the window was bricked up.
The sign must have something to do with the curse. If I can place the statuettes on... Let me explain. There are in Illsmouth 4 families who are trying to help some unspeakably evil gods to return to this world. The gods are called the Great Ancients, and they ruled the world many thousands of years ago. To destroy these families, I must place these 4 statuettes on their houses. Strange words are engraved on the bases of these statuettes.
Who are these families?
Arlington, Hamilton, Coldstone, and Tyler.
We find the drawing of the sign behind the photo frame. Although I must say, if so many people in Illsmouth are aware of these cultists, then why am I the only person doing anything about it? People joke about Doomguy and the Wolfenstein protagonist being gaming's ultimate tough guys, but I think Parker gives them a run for their money.
Horrible events are taking place in Illsmouth. If I don't put a stop to them very soon, then even more ghastly things will happen.
He's the most badass British video game protagonist that I've ever seen, that's for sure. He's damn handsome and he's got nerves of steel.
You're exhausted, been overdoing it. Blood pressure a little high, too. You'll need a good, long rest.
Out of the question, Doctor.
Oh, there's a Cthulhu cult set to destroy the world in 3 nights? I'll sort it out. He never even questions whether he should get involved. He meets this mind-bending evil entity in Jonas, and doesn't even bat an eyelid, just insults the bastard in his own suave fashion and then steals his statues right in front of him.
Listen carefully, Jonas. Your sleep will soon be eternal. Do you hear me?
Not to mention that he's overcome his heart problem by sheer strength of will alone. We go back into town on a mission to destroy these demonic Yog-Sothoth worshipping bastards. Should have taken a shotgun with us. The voice acting gets really, really bad here.
Parker, didn't anyone ever tell you how dangerous it is to go out at night? I'll have to kill you.
Aye. Yog. Thou. Saw.
What are you saying? No, not that.
The first cultist starts glowing and throwing fireballs at us before turning into the Super Mario ghost. The second cultist is prepared for our arrival and turns into a damn Jabberwocky as we make our way to the sign on top of his house. His insides are filled with tentacles and it's probably one of the more disturbing scenes in the game. The third cultist just self-immolates before combusting and exploding from the inside out.
Dear God, how abominable.
The fourth cultist is a little more difficult. We tempt the stray cat from earlier with a rotten fish we find in the rubbish and then stuff it in our coat pocket. We use it on the dog as a distraction and get to the centrepiece of the town, the creepy mansion. We grab the lantern and activate the secret door by using a compass card we find in the room on the ship's wheel in the background. Upstairs there's a beautiful bearskin rug. Wow, that's the oldest trick in the book. That's Scooby-Doo levels of shenanigans. We pull the lantern on the fireplace to reveal the next secret door. Inside we find a handle and use it on the telescope. We pull the lever closest to us, which causes a ball to descend from the ceiling. I don't know. The ball fits inside the space painting and opens another secret door. For good measure, we take a book on magic rites. You never know when this could come in handy.
His symbol is the butterfly Hannibalus, more commonly referred to as the comet butterfly. 4 stigmas of different hues, red, white, blue and green, punctuate its wings. These wings are so fine that, with the help of a camera obscura equipped with a lantern, you can project these colors onto different materials. Thus, the operator could easily locate on sacred monoliths the secret positions where certain ritual talismans were placed. Once these talismans were placed and the ritual formula had been spoken, the operator could call upon or chase from the celestial sphere he who howls in the night. But all this is probably nothing but legend.
We go upstairs and perform the magic rite. It's a trap. Wilbur, you bastard.
Face it, Parker. You're finished.
You'll pay for this.
Mercy, Parker! Parker, the third guy! Ah! Parker!
We hold up the statue just in time. They probably shouldn't have tried to kill us on top of the magic symbol that we need to kill them. We run out of the house as fast as possible, and it's hilarious how little time the game gives you to escape before it burns you alive. There's no room for error. You know, I never make jokes that are that rude, but doesn't it sound like Jonas is doing something lewd while spouting these lines?
I curse you, Parker. You will not... Cthulhu! Dagon! Your Suffer!
I have the feeling that without you...
Mr. Parker, could you tell me what you were doing last night in Jonas Hamilton's house?
What about if I told you I was acting in the interest of the whole community? Would you believe me?
Yes. I think I would believe you. I have lived in Illsmouth too long not to know of some terrible things.
Doctor, if everything goes to plan, the evil shadow that hangs over Illsmouth will soon be a mere memory.
These things have something to do with the comet, don't they?
Yes, tonight's the night.
Ah, Miss Gilchrist gave me this for you.
Yo, why don't you help me? Gather up the townsfolk, grab the pitchforks and let's go.
Come right away. I have made some important discoveries. H. Underhouse.
We go to the post office and see Mr. Underhouse and get stopped by the policeman who wants to blame us for the events last night. Luckily, Mr. Underhouse vouches for us. He tells us that in order to fight Narackamous, we need to speak to an Indian called Natawanga. I quite enjoy these riddles.
To fight the sorcerer, you will need to find the sacred bow and arrow. They belong to the youngest. His accursed family lives from the sea. The bow is hidden where the fire lives. The feather on the wood will fly towards me.
The feather belongs to Indian tradition. As for the bow and arrow, you'll have to find them.
We walk over to Curtis's house and find it locked. We tip over the wooden block and get a pin from the brooch we brought earlier to pick the lock. Inside we find Curtis swinging from his feet, his throat slashed, blood dripping to the floor.
Very odd indeed.
We find the bow in the fireplace and the arrow underneath the floorboards. We use the feather Underhouse gave us on a tree stump in the forest which turns us into a bird. Again, Parker is completely unfazed by this.
Hello? Is there anybody there?
It's nowhere as silly as the wings, however. At least this makes sense within the universe. Natawanga asks us 3 questions that we have to answer correctly, so I hope you've been paying attention throughout the game. We win the grand prize.
My boy, I'd love to give you that. A new car!
No, just some magic paint.
Use it in the demon's home. It will protect you. You will go where nothing of your world has meaning.
Will I die?
You may, but if you succeed, you must scatter the comet's shadow. This ring will help you. Find its stone.
After all of that, we go back to town and climb down the well.
Ugh. This well is about as dank as you can get.
Did I just miss it when somebody told us about this? It took me ages to figure out where to go next. We throw the paint in the water which calms the waves. Alright, it's starting to get illogical again. And we pick up an empty can and a can of acid. In the next room we pick up 2 flints. Again, no idea why any of this is down here. We fill the empty can with some naphtha? What? A flammable liquid hydrocarbon mixture produced from natural gas condensates, petroleum distillates and the distillation of coal tar and peat. Okay. We walk into the next room and see Narackamous just chilling in a chair by himself at the bottom of the well.
But that odor, it smells like...
Naphtha. Now you will go and roast for all eternity in hell.
What a badass.
Fatang! Cthulhu! Aia!
It is pointless to resist, Narackamous.
Whoa!
This is for Jug. Say hello to Satan for me.
We're going to shoot him in the heart.
Cthulhu! Ifta!
Don't be scared of the sorcerers and old gods. Be scared of Parker. It's the ghost of Boleskine, which sounds a lot like Boleskine.
What I began 76 years ago, you will finish. You must seal the great ancient's access to this world. On the island sleeps Dagon, he who reigns in the depths of the seas. You must find a boat and go there. You will fight evil by resuscitating the symbol of death.
It's good to see that he's doing better in death than he was in life. He drops a turquoise stone, aquamarine and butterfly for some reason like he's a World of Warcraft raid boss. We also have Natawanga's ring from earlier. We fill our empty can with more naphtha because why not, it seems to work wonders. Then we're out of the well and back to the harbour to commandeer a vessel. This guy is pretty decent. We sail to a small island and grab an emerald and ruby from the eyes of a decapitated statue and then solve a sliding puzzle to enter a cavern. Yes, canonically Cthulhu guards his secret lairs with slide puzzles. We climb up to the top of this monstrosity's right eye and place the ruby. Oh no, that was a bad idea.
Poor Parker.
Jesus Christ. We try it again, but this time we place the aquamarine in the star to finish the sign. It's pretty much trial and error here, annoyingly.
Your struggle against the gods is not over. Get back to the boat. A current will take you to the cavern.
Who must I fight now?
Even Parker is sick of this nonsense. He doesn't even live here. Why is the fate of the entire universe solely up to him?
A sanctuary in Cthulhu's honor has been erected. Here is my ring, and bear in mind the Boleskine family motto. For God and the green land of my fathers, go and destroy that thing born of the flames of hell.
What's your game, shithead?
Shithead? What's a shithead?
We sail to the last and final island and the cavern is completely dark. The lantern lights it for about 3 seconds, but thank God we got more naphtha. The whole room is filled with monsters. They have really creepy and unsettling portraits, but wouldn't the atmosphere have been served better if they didn't hop around like Frogger? We very slowly and annoyingly make our way through the cave to find the mother and son from the graveyard tied up and ready to be sacrificed. We dump the acid into a crevice on the floor to short circuit something and collect a diamond. I don't get it. We put a stone in Natawanga and Boleskine's rings. Whoa. Okay, be quick, be quick. We put a ring on each hand and summon them both, which destroys the monster.
How can I thank you, Mr. Parker? I didn't think we would ever be free again.
No need for thanks, Ellen. Get away from here. Don't wait for me. I must finish the task.
You have just enough time to get to the stone circle. A word of advice. First, you must photograph the comet. I know you will succeed, but hurry. The comet does not wait.
We crawl through a hole in the wall which leads to the stone circle. We set up the camera and use the butterfly which was mentioned in the Book of Magic Rites from Wilbur's house. It shines a colour on 4 boulders. We photograph the comet and it's too late, the old gods are being summoned, we have to activate the stones. Flint symbolises fire, the red stone. Aquamarine symbolises water, the blue stone. The fragment of the comet that just dropped symbolises air, the white stone. And the diamond symbolises earth, the green stone.
Yagnai, Fathok, Naga, Yog Sathoth. Yagnai, Fathok, Naga, Yog Sathoth.
Yes, we saved the universe. For now at least.
Your mission's over, Parker. Your courage and willpower have sealed off Illsmouth to the great ancients. But remember, nothing's over. It can all start again somewhere else.
But
I must return to the kingdom of shadows. My task is over. I have shown you the way, but always remember this. That is not dead which can eternal lie.
Well, I'd better be getting down to the harbour. My boat should be leaving soon. I'd better get my equipment into the trunk. The driver will soon be here.
It skips forward to what I assume is the next day and Parker is getting ready to leave. It's a bright sunny day and everyone is waiting for us in a really bizarre comedic goodbye scene.
Dear Mr. Parker, I'm not much of a hand at making speeches.
Well, that's a joke. He talked for 2 hours at the Temperance League meeting.
Jed Donahue, will you kindly let the doctor get on with it? Well, doctor, we're waiting.
Thank you. Well, as I was saying... What was I saying? Oh, yes. Well, here we are, gathered together.
Even Swing managed to find time to get away from his break to be here.
Will you let me get on with this? There. Well, to get to the point, we want to say...
Thank you! Thank you!
Oh, well, to be honest...
There is no more to be said. You've scattered the comet's shadow. That's something we can never forget. Now you'd better get going. Your boat won't wait.
Goodbye.
Hey, find a fine old pub and drink to my health. Goodbye, Parker.
Yeah, thanks for all the help, guys.
I might just do that, Jed.
Thanks again for the photo of the stone circle.
My pleasure.
The competition is going to hate my guts. and we'll prove the Boleskine was right. What was it he saw exactly?
It's a long story, and I'm not sure...
Long stories are my favorite kind. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Well, Mr. Griffith, what do you know of Cthulhu?
What is there to say about Call of Cthulhu Shadow of the Comet? A surprising amount. To start with, it's an absolutely beautiful looking game with exquisite backgrounds and character portraits. It does a wonderful job presenting what would typically be described these days as a cinematic storyline. Although the soundtrack is limited in its number of tracks, what's there is pretty great, and keep in mind there were limits to what you could do in 1993. Is it a faithful Lovecraft inspired game? Well, kind of. There are many moments in the game where I'd argue it's one of the best, and an unfortunate amount of times where it completely ruins what it's built up. It's a light-hearted version of a Lovecraft story, but Lovecraft stories are known for their bleakness and hopelessness. The ending was terrible, as you just saw. In an earlier scene, Parker asks if he'll survive the ordeal. Not only does he survive with his mind intact, but he's thrown a comical farewell party at the docks and goes back to England to explain his adventure like a Saturday morning cartoon. What could have been if Shadow of the Comet only took itself a bit more seriously? Should there be someone hanging from a rope with his neck slit in the same story as a dancing bear? Probably not. Illsmouth was a nicely rendered little town, but it didn't have any of the fear, bleakness or suspense that is typically associated with Innsmouth. How much better would it have been if more of the townsfolk were in on the conspiracy working against you, if the entire town just looked a little more run down than it did? But as a fun, semi-serious entry to the works of H.P Lovecraft for what would have been teenagers and above, I'd say it's fine. The gameplay, for a point-and-click adventure game during the time period, does a lot of things right. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's easily accessible except for a very clunky user interface, and the puzzles rarely go as frustratingly ridiculous as, say, a game like Harvester. Opinions on Shadow of the Comet are mixed, but personally I think it's a great game and worthy of being part of the Lovecraft-inspired pantheon, because you know what? It's fun, and that's a lot more than the vast majority of Lovecraft's games can say. Does it hold a candle to Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem? No, of course it doesn't, but it's a completely different kind of game. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful Halloween, and if you enjoyed this video and stick with it to the end, then leave a comment below so I can hear your thoughts on what we just experienced together. Oh, and be sure to check out some of my other spooktastic video games. I play a lot of weird stuff, trust me. See you, fellow humans.
Dagon! You're so
Very odd indeed.